When our new Journey Together set releases on March 27th, the yearly standard format rotation will come to the Pokemon trading card game. What this means for you is that every card with an F in the bottom left will no longer be playable in standard. From that point, every card with a G, H, or I in the bottom left will be legal in standard until the next rotation in March 2026, which will remove all G cards from standard. Now, while the Pokemon Company hasn't officially confirmed March 27th as the rotation date for Pokemon TCG Live, it's extremely likely. That's because PokeBeach revealed the 27th as the release of Journey Together, our first main set of 2025 and the start of the I block. So unless something drastic changes, that is when rotation will hit live. For those who play Pokemon cards IRL, rotation will happen 2 weeks later on April 11th when Journey Together becomes tournament legal. Basically, when March 27th rolls around, the PDCGL subreddit will be flooded with people asking why their decks can't be played anymore. To avoid this being you with Execute on your face, just remember that almost every card from Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Pokemon Go, Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, and Crown Zenith is rotating. This means every Pokemon V, V-Star, and V-Max is gone, same with every Radiant Pokemon. With the loss of every Sword and Shield era card, this leaves EXs as our only multi-prize Pokemon going forward. This is great because you'll no longer have to worry about the oopsie of attaching a maximum belt to your active thinking you'll be able to KO a Palkia V-Star. Oh, was that just me? Wait, hang on, do I suck at Pokemon cards? Anyways, because I'm a YouTuber, I have to make a top 10 list about all the best cards leaving standard in March. And at number 1, who else could it be? The best card leaving standard when rotation hits on March 27th is Radiant Greninja. If it was just the ability, Radiant Greninja would still be a top 10 card. But then you add in the attack that spreads 90 to 2 different Pokemon, which pairs perfectly with Palkia V-Star, and you have one of the best Pokemon cards ever printed. Like all the Radiant Pokemon, there aren't really any replacements for them post-rotation. Greninja has an amazing ability on a ball-searchable Pokemon, plus a crazy attack that really only gets stopped by Manaphy. I guess you could try Cycling Road, but that draws you one less card, isn't easy to find, and your opponent can use it, making it a subpar option. Yeah, Radiant Greninja's loss will be felt for most of the year. As someone who likes to spread damage like their cheeks, I have a rational hatred for bench barrier Pokemon. I mean, they require no skill. You put down an easily searchable basic Pokemon onto your bench and completely shut off an entire strategy. So when this little idiot rotates in March, it will give spread Pokemon the chance to shine once again. This is also a good time to remind you that canceling Cologne is also from the F block and getting removed as well. Because I'm making this video early, we don't know every card releasing in Journey Together, which launches on the same day rotation hits. So while it's possible we get a new bench barrier basic, at least right now, Rabska is your only option. Thankfully, Rabska is a balanced bench barrier Pokemon. It's an evolution, which means it requires at least 2 slots in your deck. And if you're really worried about spread damage, Technical Machine Evolution still exists, allowing you to protect yourself as early as turn 1. This is how the whole mechanic should work, requiring a little bit of effort and not just haha, your whole strategy is ruined. I do hope the Pokemon Company keeps standard healthy by not introducing a new Manaphy. It's literally all I want for 2025. Well, that and a functioning client, but we all know that's not happening, so I'll settle for no new Manaphy. These two go together like peanut butter and toast. Everyone who's faced Charizard or Dragapult knows the combo. They play Arven, get a Nest Ball and Forest Heal Stone, put Rotom V onto the bench, grab any card they need from their deck using the stone, then draw 3 cards to end their turn. Obviously, Forest Heal Stone's usefulness extended beyond Rotom V, like being paired with Lumineon or Raikou, but it was the most common partner. There will be just over 2 months from when the item locking Badoo is released in Prismatic Evolutions and rotation hits, meaning Stage 2 decks aren't completely screwed over yet. They can still use the Rotom Forest Heal Stone combo while trying to use things like Grand Tree and TM Evolution. But with rotation, we're losing the V-Star power mechanic. In fact, there won't be any markers on the field of play come March 27th. So crazy once per game abilities or attacks are gone, and we're left with boring things like Itchy Pollen for 10 and Squawkabilly EX discard my hand and draw 6 and crap, I got nothing, where's the concede button? 250 damage for 1 energy with a single prizer is absolutely insane. Yeah, it took your opponent taking prize cards to do that, but how many games have you lost because you made the mistake of trying to win, only to let them attack with Radiant Charizard on back-to-back turns thanks to Night Stretcher, thus taking the final prizes they need? So not only are we losing V-Star powers, which were once per game, but we're also losing Radiance, which were once per deck. Oh, and if you want to see something you can't unsee, don't look at how the text on Radiant Charizard's rulebox is unbolded on the Pokemon Go one, but bolded on the Crown Zenith one, because then it'd drive you nuts. While playing with your Beaver hasn't been as fun as it once was because of Mew EX and Fezandipity EX, losing Babarrel is a huge blow for single prize decks. Being able to simply drop to 5 cards in hand, digging for that reversal energy you'll never actually find, was an Arceus send. In terms of replacements, there isn't a good one. Revavroom is probably the most likely candidate, though it does require you to discard an energy to activate its ability. Otherwise, the tried and true combo of Mew and Fezandipity is sticking around, meaning multi-prize decks won't have to worry about card draw, while those of us who enjoy whacking off with their Beaver will have to get industrious. The release of Kyurem and the whole being able to feast on Lost Zone decks has seen their play drop a bit recently, but after years of forcing your opponent to wait while you take 5-minute turns, Comfey, Sableye, Cramorant, Giratina V-Star, Colress's Experiment, Raj Day, Lost Vacuum, and Lost City are all finally rotating. While this archetype will always have a special place in my heart due to the fact that I won the first ever major Pokemon TCG Live tournament with it, its time has come. Outside of the Comfey deck, Lost Vacuum was just a great way to remove a pesky tool or stadium. Going forward, Jamming Tower will have to fill that void. As for the loss of Lost City, well, it means Iron Thorns EX can't send your useful Pokemon out of the game for good, and I think we can all appreciate that. I know some of you would put Double Turbo Energy higher, especially with the surgence of Clofteropagos. Regardless of where it is though, DTE deserves a place on the list. In its infancy, it was paired with Arceus V-Star and Zoroark V-Star, then came Iron Hands EX to amp you very much faster, and now we have the Crab and Turtle deck. Unless we get something with Journey together, this will mark the end of double colorless energy cards in Standard after double colorless energy rotated several years ago and Twin Energy rotated a couple of years ago. If you're hoping for this specific deck to survive post-rotation, well, Cloth will struggle. Terapagos will be fine thanks to Glass Trumpet, but Cloth will need to rely on counter gain or energy switch to attack. And let's not forget that Radiant Sneasler is also rotating, hurting the potential poison damage the deck can deal. So while it's not gone completely, there's a good chance we'll be saying this deck's clawful come April. Ironically, we're losing Regidrago V-Star on the same day Lily's Clefairy EX comes out, giving Dragon-type Pokemon a weakness. No, it's not a fairy weakness, but a psychic one because the Pokemon Company is weird like that. I was originally going to leave Regidrago off the list, but then it went and won the Toronto Regionals. And if a city has Toe in its name, I have to pay attention. So yes, on March 27th, one of the strongest decks in Standard will be completely removed from the format. It'll be sad to legacy it go, but let's be honest. When Regidrago was originally printed, able to copy the attack of any Dragon Pokemon in your discard, they didn't know cards like Dragapult EX and Alolan Exeggutor EX would exist, making Regidrago maybe a little too versatile. Dragon Pokemon will still be represented quite heavily post-rotation by Raging Bolt EX and Dragapult EX though. But if they ever get out of foot, then Lily's Clefairy will always be there, ready to cut them down to size. I love to see Snorlax go, and I love to watch it leave with that huge dump truck. Thankfully, Pecharunt EX released to lessen the stain, but then we got Latias EX and Surging Sparks, and people removed switch cards from their decks, bringing Snorlax back. Since the release of TCG Pocket, I've had a lot of people ask me how Snorlax wins. First off, you should watch my video comparing Live and Pocket. Second, the main TCG has decking out as a win condition where Pocket does not. So the whole strategy with Snorlax is to trap a Pokemon that can't attack in the active, then just wait until they run out of cards. I'll say what I've always said, feat stuff isn't cheating. Also, stall decks are a completely viable option for tournaments. Just don't play them on TCG Live because all you do is waste people's time. I've had numerous games against stall where my opponent will know they can't win yet still bring the timer down to 0. Because if you queue up with a stall deck on Live, you're already mentally prepared to waste 30 to 40 minutes of your life in one game, and that's not fun. With rotation, stall decks won't cease to exist entirely, but at least the main culprit will be gone. For my 10th and final pick for best card leaving Standard in March, we have a Sui and Heavy Ball, which is the best rotating card no one's talking about. Heavy Ball is Arven searchable unless you instantly grab any basic Pokemon you prized, meaning you can take more chances with your deck building. With it gone, you might have to run 2 copies of Latias EX or Pecharunt EX if your deck relies heavily on retreating or switching, or 2 copies of Squawkabilly EX if you always need a fast start. As someone who is vehemently against prize cards because PTCGL always prizes the cards I need in each matchup, I was a big fan of Heavy Ball. While I'd much prefer it if Live introduced a custom format where you draw 13 cards in your opening hand and choose your 6 prize cards, that would be too much fun and will never happen. So Exchange Ticket coming in Journey together is our next best option. Like Rotom decks, Exchange Ticket swaps out your prizes with cards from your deck. Unlike Rotom decks, you can use something like Cypher Maniac or Deduction Kit to stack your deck and choose which cards go to your prizes. It's not a direct replacement for Heavy Ball, but it's at least some prize card manipulation. Or I guess you could go with Daisy's Help instead, but you'd be crazy to do that. Of course, there's a plethora of other good cards rotating at the end of March I excluded from the top 10. On the Pokemon side, we're losing Palkia V-Star, Lugia V-Star, Arceus V-Star, and Dialga V-Star. I also put Kyurem VMAX in here to remind you that yes, some VMAXs still exist in Standard. Radiant Sneasler and Radiant Alakazam are also gone, same with Lumineon V, Raikou V, and Raichu V. The loss of Kirlia greatly impacts Gardevoir EX, removing its draw Pokemon, while the Reggie deck is gone for good. In terms of trainers, losing Irida means water decks like Chenpao EX have a tougher time setting up, while single prize decks lose the pure draw Cynthia's Ambition provides. On the flip side, Misfortune Sisters and Silene are gone, meaning stall decks have even less tools to play with. The loss of Dark Patch really hurts Dark decks. Switch card leaving means we only have Switch as our item-based Switch card going forward. And your toes are about to be exposed because Trekking Shoes is gone. As for stadiums, you'll no longer feel the wrath of Pokestop milling 3 supporters. Standard is saying Volcane no to Magma Basin, and Collapse Stadium won't be bumping any more Squawkabilly EXs. Probably the funniest thing about this year's rotation is that despite every V Pokemon leaving Standard, Choice Belt and Spiritomb will still be Standard legal. Choice Belt received a reprint in Paldea Evolve, while Spiritomb was printed really late to help curb the Mew VMAX supremacy. And now the oddness of those decisions is coming to light. Other cards from the F block that were reprinted and will remain Standard legal for 2025, regardless of which art you use, include Boss's Orders, Professor's Research, and Ultra Ball. Interestingly, none of them were reprinted in 2024, meaning this could be our last full year with them. Because I know a lot of new players are probably still confused, to quickly sum up this video, if a Pokemon card has an F in the bottom left, it's gone from Standard in Pokemon TCG Live on March 27th. If it has a G, H, or I in the bottom left though, it will be Standard legal until at least March 2026. What are your thoughts about this year's Pokemon TCG rotation? Let everyone know in the comments. Or follow me on Twitch to tell me how handsome I am live.